So, another episode of Skills and Drills. Now, it's a little misleading because this episode isn't actually about any skills or any drills. What this is about is my Benelli M4 setup. So for me, I really go into detail to try to set up my guns in a way that I think I might have to use them in a self-defense situation. But I do think it's always good if you can to get a second opinion from someone who actually used that platform in real world situations to tell you whether or not this setup makes sense, this setup doesn't make sense, because there's a big difference between theoretically and reality. So I sit down with Larry from Broaddus Defense, and he goes over my setup and tells me what he thinks I should change, add, or keep the same. And hopefully you guys can glean a lot of important information from this and apply it to your particular setup if you indeed use a shotgun for self-defense, home defense, what have you. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, so this is my Benelli M4. Now I did a whole video on this thing where I talked about all of the modifications that I made to it. And you know, I had kind of my perception about what I wanted this setup to look like and for what I wanted to use it for. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, home defense. That's ideally gonna be kind of what my setup is gonna be like. So what I wanted to do was kind of have you go through it based on kind of your experience and what you did with the shotgun. And kind of let me know, okay, this makes sense, that doesn't make so much sense, or maybe you can change this, and so forth and so on. Almost kind of like, give me a grade to a certain extent on, or critique my setup, my shotgun setup.
Rate your gun, huh?
Yeah, more or less.
So you've got a lot of good things going on here. You've made a lot of really smart decisions from purchasing decisions, but also this has a very good setup in the sense of like where you've positioned your light. You've got an extended charging handle. You've got backup iron sights that are co-witnessed with your red dot. You've got a red dot. A lot of folks don't use red dots. Collapsible buttstock,
which I think for me is the biggest thing for me.
100%. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to maneuver inside your home or inside, well, I don't want to say battle space, but inside that crisis site. In a gunfight better. Before you finish watching this video, I want to thank today's sponsor, AccuFire Technology, the maker of the Incendus Pro thermal clip-on that can be used as a standalone optic or clip it to the front of the scope of your choice. It has a 1,000-meter target ID range and a 5-hour runtime and records HD video. So if you're on the market for an affordable thermal clip-on optic, I put a link in the description section of this video. And thank you, AccuFire, for supporting the channel. Two things that I would recommend to you is sling attachments. Okay. A sling is an enabler, never a disabler. Because you can safe sling and holster, and then if you need to go hands-on or manipulate a door, help a family member, you need to get out, of whatever situation that you're in. Having the ability to sling that rifle or the shotgun to yourself and maintain positive control of it is always going to be a good thing. And the other thing is if we can flip this around, this is a good setup. These are great. The only downside that I would say is because this isn't a full covered heat shield, the way you manipulate your hand, you may have a light ND, which is a thing. Light NDs are very much a thing. So I would recommend. Now you do have, the hard, button push there, but this soft, you could definitely have a light ND, and when you don't want it, because that's when it will happen. Because that's when Murphy will show up and say, "Hey, I know you had a plan, but I've got a better one." His name is Murphy. Now, have you ever seen guys run like a pistol foregrip on their shotguns? And if so, to what success? In a breaching scenario, yes. Okay. But how you've got this, and how, in my opinion, normal, law-abiding citizens, gun owners that are using a shotgun for home defense, I don't see the utility in it. Okay. Because you're not using it for that capacity. This is a tool. This is a very robust tool. It's got a lot of different uses, but for our purposes here at home defense, I don't think a vertical foregrip is necessary. Like Surefire used to make the old with the big, that big old thing. It was great on a carbine, on a rifle. That's awesome. Here, I don't think it's really necessary. One thing I want to touch on with the light though is a lot of folks will just throw a light on their pistol or on their rifle or on their shotgun and think, okay, I've got a light, I'm good. But they don't understand how to use the light. You know, there's a whole set of TTPs with, foreshadowing, leading and trailing, as you're presenting to the target. There's a whole set of, skill sets associated to using a light as well, because a light can be a weapon, So I would just stress, take a low light class, find someone that's competent, credible, and is current in, light techniques. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is ammo management.
Okay.
So side saddles. Side saddles are great. I think that they are, we'll call it SL3 for a shotgun. I think that they're mandatory, because, if you're not always going to have, a pistol belt or a gun belt or, stuffing ammo in your pockets or whatever. So kind of whereas if I have a side saddle, on my gun, on my shotgun, I've got everything I need right here. I've got a best shotgun in the world, best condition possible, and I've got extra ammunition. What I would suggest though is use Velcro. And here's why I would say use Velcro, is because you can store multiple of these ready to go when need be. He's gonna get you.
I'm just minding my business.
Yeah. The only caveat though is you have to be careful with where you place it, because you got the, the button there. Okay. But get a side saddle. I would recommend getting, the Cordura ones. This is a hard side saddle that I've just got put, hook pile tape, on. And other than that, man, you've got a great setup. You've done a lot of good research, and you've got all the right things. Well, this is probably more likely what you're going to see in everybody's house. So this, you're limited on, first and foremost, when I see something like this, okay, I'm limited on magazine capacity, so round capacity. And for most shotguns, they're going to have a plug in there, because if you're using it for bird hunting, most states, actually every state requires some type of limiter in there for that specific use, not necessarily for home. The other thing, doesn't have a light. So yeah, you've got a shotgun, but it's in the middle of the night. Somebody just broke into your house. You got to turn on all the lights, and that's time. You don't have a way to see the threat. Iron sights are great, but this is 2023 and Skynet is on the verge of activating. So having a red dot on your home defense gun, I'm not gonna go as far as say it's a must, but you're really limiting your abilities, your capability. Because in our scenario, even if you did have a light, now you've got this big black shadowy thing that you're trying to line up, in the light. Whereas with a red dot, hey, I can stay target focused.
Fun thing is, I guess you could argue too with the red dot. I can, like you said, point out, stay target even in the dark.
Yes, and that's where I was going with this. Is like, it even lends itself. You see the benefit of it even more with a light on it. And the other thing too is with the that Monte Carlo style stock. That's probably not the right terminology for a shotgun, but that changes the ergonomics of how you control the weapon, how you control recoil, and then also how you load, how you manipulate, malfunctions, and then also how you maneuver. This
is a little too exaggerated for me, honestly, personally.
Absolutely.
Like for my body ergonomics, it's just, I can do it, but I'd much prefer.
Yeah, myself as well. I mean, that's why they come standard, on the mill side, with the collapsible buttstocks and the pistol grips, And this is great, but I would say that this is something to work on. There's a lot of options that you could do with this. But something like this, in my opinion, should be not necessarily, doesn't have to be the Benelli M4, but
something that has a pistol grip with some type of adjustability from top.
I would say more the capability is really what you're working towards. Because you can get all of this capability onto this platform. In many different ways, and that's really what you want to work for. You don't want to work towards the gear and equipment,
but more so, what am I trying to do with it?
Absolutely. The questions that you're trying to answer for yourself. How does this enhance my ability to do my job? you know, as a husband, as a father, as a good neighbor,
Gotcha.
you know, as a good citizen. You know, how does this help me? And this is great, you know, but we can do better. And this is where we want to be. You know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an M4, a Benelli M4, but you know, the capability is what you want.
Gotcha.
So
I want to give a special thanks to Alert Center down at Texas State University in San Marcos. The Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training Program trains cops to do great things, and I'm thankful they carved some time out for me to use their facility. You'll see this range again in our next series of videos. Broaddus Defense brings law enforcement quality training to civilians, so check them out, and I'll put a link in the description section. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.